Good evening, Silver Bay community. My name is Lucas Callahan, interim CEO for Silver Bay. I appreciate you joining me for my first ramblings, or probably better phrase, town hall. Here are some updates from around the Bay. Spiritual life is very excited. We have a few strong candidates for the chaplain role. We are excited to see any of the candidates come through because we are confident in their ability to really expand our spiritual life, programming, whether it is extra programming and functions, or whether it is the pastoral respite, or frankly, just furthering that sense of belonging that all of you know is important to Silver Bay, the special sauce, so to speak. Very excited. We are hoping to be able to move on a particular candidate by the end of the year. Programming. Santa Day at the Bay. This Saturday, December 13th, from 1 to 4. Open to the community with crafts, activities, and a meet and greet with Santa. Bring the family by, say hello, kids have a blast with it. We're really excited to be doing this again this year. It's been well received in the past, and we like to keep growing. More things to do in the shoulder season for those of us that are still up here in the frosty north. We saw a really positive feedback from the chair yoga and chair fitness instruction that we were offering. So the program team led by Chet got a Moving for Better Balance certification. It is a Tai Chi focus that is really trying to help people focus on their movement, their balance, and just general long-term health. We're very excited about this as part of our community offering. The main program is 12 weeks, but we are looking at trying to break it apart to allow for drop-ins. So if you're just coming to visit us for a week, or you're part of the locals and don't want to commit for 12 weeks, but you do want to make some time when you have available. Caleb Cutting from our waterfront is excited to say that winter swim lessons are underway, and we do have a few openings remaining. Only a few, though, as we are doing well with them. We're pretty excited about them. So please reach out to Caleb Cutting if you have any swim lessons needs. Winter weekend is approaching, not too quickly, but it is coming, February 13th through 16th. And there's going to be some indoor activities throughout the weekend. There's going to be outdoor activities, broom ball, cookie decorating, pajama movie night, paint and sip, all sorts of fun for people that are looking to get away, come back, visit Silver Bay, and to have a great experience. Pickleball and rackets is something that we're looking at trying to sort of amp up from a programming aspect. We've got a bunch of ideas that are floating around, but a couple of those that are looking rather promising and that we're looking to move forward with are things like exhibition matches for pickleball, or occasional tournaments that will allow people to compete and frankly to let that competitive spirit really come out. We have such an amazing place, and whatever we can do to help utilize some of the assets we already have is always going to be key. This summer we had a lot of questions coming into it on how we were going to do the waterfront. In 2024 there were some concerns about the hours of operation, whether it was for Swim Point or for Bay Beach, and we were very happy with the way that the summer 2025 went. Going into 2026, we're going to be maintaining those same hours of availability. This is important because we received a couple of emails ahead of time that were asking about Bay Beach hours, and I am confident that we are going to be able to have some nice offerings for guests, whether they're looking for Bay Beach or for Swim Point, moving into the 2026 summer. Moving on to some of our youth development pieces. The Teen Center is doing fantastic right now. We have a higher participation than ever before, as we have reintegrated the 12-year-olds that, due to a licensing quirk, were left out last year, but we were able to work with the state to get it so we could accommodate them. It's worked really well. We've been seeing a very positive response from the community. Moving over to the ELC, Jackie and the team are leading the charge. We're pretty happy with the direction that it's going right now. We're still monitoring. New York State had a subsidy shortfall in their funding that they need to work to rectify. We've been working with the Northern Lake George Foundation, which is helping us offset some of these shortages, and frankly, we're seeing it move in the right direction. By working with our operations team and conversations with the board, we've set up some guardrails that will help make sure that regardless of what happens at the ELC, the main property will not be putting itself in jeopardy. Very excited about this because the ELC has been a positive for us in our relations with Ticonderoga. We're finding that a lot of parties didn't even know that we were operating the teen center. They thought it was town funded. So now we're starting to get a little more acknowledgement for the community pieces that we're doing. And it's also having the underlying advantage of drawing new donors. We are seeing some donors come in from Thai that weren't part of our typical group. We're pretty excited to continue cultivating that while continuing to do a good thing for the Thai community with its need for childcare. Back to the property, we did a lot of conferences this year. We hosted 154 groups and conferences. 72 of those were brand new to Silver Bay, yeehaw sales. We did 42 special events, rehearsals, receptions, memorials, family events. We did 11 large catering events. This includes weddings and galas. That's pretty significant. That's a lot of people that we're getting through this property. We had only done 7 for 2024, and we have 13 anticipated for 2026 with the possibility to add on. So we're seeing those large scale catering events grow, and we're very excited because people are responding really well to the functions that we're putting on. January 8th through March 26th, Mountain View Grill is hosting a dinner around the world every Wednesday and Thursday. Each evening will highlight authentic dishes, and starting on January 8th will be Taste of Italy. All meals will include educational insights from Chef John and Tony. Guests also get to take home recipes and step-by-step instructions. We're really excited to add this because we feel like it's adding to the experience, not just a dinner. Obviously, dinner's great, and I love a good Italian meal as well as other worldly regions. But to create a different experience to help break up some of the monotony that can come on when it's 30 degrees is the high and just cold and gray. Update from development. Our annual fund is on track for a record level, but we still need your help. One of the programs we have going this year is double your donation. And to break that out real quick, if you have never given to Silver Bay and you say, I'm going to give and I'm going to give for the next 3 years, here's $500. Then that $500 is matched and it becomes $1,000. Well, let's say you've been giving $1,000. You traditionally do. And you say, I'll commit to giving $2,000. Then that additional $1,000 increase is matched. So you're bringing it up to $3,000. Every penny counts for this, and it is significant not only for our annual campaign for this year, but for the next couple of years as we continue to do what we can to put ourselves, face forward to the community in an appropriate way. A couple different projects we have coming. Slim Point. Some of you have been around in May or June, and you've noticed Slim Point is partially underwater. It's just stormwater runoff, and frankly, it's a problem that needed to be addressed, especially as we continue to expand our events and catering or just use of the property. The pavilion needs a new roof, and the stone pillars need some work. And ultimately, a good refresher is in order. We were very fortunate to have a donor come forward, and we have a contractor that we are looking to solidify things with to try and get these modifications done in the spring before we really get going for the summer. We're very excited about this. We think it'll be a nice upgrade to an area that we know everyone likes to enjoy. And, I look forward to giving you more updates as we have timelines shake out. Keep an eye on snippets. Fisher Gymnasium. We received a $1 million HUD grant that will allow us to make some historically accurate renovations to the building. The main priorities are insulating, heating and cooling, and just sort of generally bringing it up to code. We're very excited because we've got it. We know that it's a larger project, anywhere between 1.6 and 2.1 I've heard tossed around, but we were able to get an appropriate phase level that will allow us to do the first rounds with the money that we already have. And we are talking to 2 contractors currently about trying to get those scheduled. We are very optimistic that this is going to be a nice upgrade for our membership, and our guests when they're on site. And I think that it's a step in the right direction. Ideally we get this taken care of and are able to be awarded an additional grant from one of the other areas that we've been identified that Wellness team has been working very hard on applying to. But at least this way, we're not sitting here with $1 million in the bank that we haven't started spending towards some of the projects that we know need to be addressed. In the world of projects, here's a fun one. The capital campaign that a lot of us have sort of been talking around. We have stumbled a bit on the launch, and I'm looking to correct some of the various bits of misinformation that I've heard circling around. So in 2023, we hired a company named Grow, which is a development company, to take a look at our property and to say, hey, what are your best opportunities? What are your biggest issues? Where should we be going? With every buck that we have, where should we be prioritizing? We had a pretty good feeling ourselves, but let's have the professionals map this out for us and tell us what we need to do. They did an excellent job going through the whole property, and they fell in love with it. I had a lot of fun conversations with them as they were wrapping up some of their projects about how amazing this place is, as you all know. The main project that they said needs to be our top priority is the Bayview building. So Bayview, 27 units. It's not what people think of when they think of loving Silver Bay. But if you identify it for what it is, as a hotel room with a great location in the middle of the property that has good bones, that just needs some renovations and a few tweaks to really hit the target market, then we're going to be able to remain relevant in the ever-changing, guest expectations. They took some of the industry standards, and they also took some of the feedback we have from comment cards and various pieces that give a better insight to our guests. And that's how they started shaping the designs for it. I want to be clear, I'm not married to any one specific design, but it's because these were professional recommendations. These were the pieces that they added because they think that it is the best way to maximize our value for guests and people when they come to visit us. This is huge because we have groups that come to us that we're now starting to sell out the rest of the property, and they don't want to stay in Bayview. Lindsay would be able to expand on this, and so correct me if I'm wrong here, but we had a military group that was looking to do their ball with us in November, and they didn't have any interest in that building. That would have been some significant revenue, and we'd already sold out the rest of the property. Did I cover that appropriately? Great, thank you. We've had groups that have come to Silver Bay for a long time check out some of their guests, and they went and stayed down the road at the Great Northern Lake George Resort because they didn't like Bayview. I'm embarrassed to say that, but it also brings home how important this is to the long-term health of Silver Bay's financial future. I try and bring it to this. It's not Peter's project. It's not Luke's project. It's Silver Bay's project that is in line with the 5-year plan that was put together with both the operational team and the board task force for developing a 5-year plan. I think it's really important that we move this forward, and after conversations with Walt and some of our board, we're going to be putting a task force together to make a big push on it for the beginning of the new year. If you decide you'd like to make a donation before then, please don't feel like you have to wait. But we know that there's a lot of other stuff up in the air, and we're trying to make sure that this information gets out there appropriately. We are also working with some contractors to try and get some quotes on what they think the renovations would cost. This is significant because it's an expensive campaign. We're looking at a $5 million raise for it, and we don't want to come up short. If we're going to do this, let's do it right. Let's see this project through, and let's, again, position Silver Bay in the place that it needs to be for the future. My next piece, the board has formed the CEO search task force. Very excited for that. Fred Becker is on hand and happy to address some of those points. Fred?
Thank you, Luke, and thank you for those updates. Thank you for your steady leadership. We really appreciate it. As Luke said, the board has convened a search committee for the CEO, and it's held its first meeting a week ago. Next meeting is coming up in about 10 days. While the search committee is in its preliminary stages, the committee does intend to leverage the services and the resources of the YMCA to be able to develop the broadest and deepest pool of candidates for the opening, and as a matter of fact, including both folks within the YMCA as well as outside the YMCA movement. There will be an opportunity for members to provide input. We're still working on the technology to do that. A notice will be going out in the near future to let folks know how you can comment or provide input if you choose to do that. In terms of a timeline, the committee is going to work expeditiously to accomplish its goal. However, the committee wants to take the necessary time to find the right person, to be able to vet those persons and to make the best decision possible. So no real specific timeline in terms of completion of filling that position. In the meantime, certainly the board has its full confidence in Luke and your team moving forward to certainly implement your plans for 2026 and to satisfy, to welcome guests this summer and to complete those plans. And those are the main ones. I can answer questions potentially, but we've only met once, so I have a limited amount of information.
I did have a question for Fred. One person just asked, is Fred chairing the search committee?
But no, that's a yes, no question. I like these kind of questions. No, I'm one of the committee members. There will be more information coming out. There will be we did talk about having a communication plan so that we can keep our members up to date. I am on the committee. I guess I can share. Members include myself, Matt Cruzy, Elise Walton, Melissa Adams, Lee Farmer, Jeremy Fisher, Dave Ingray, and Malcolm Lee. So we have a large, broad committee, and we're really excited and looking forward to working forward on the committee.
I believe that's it for Fred so far, but thank you, Fred. I love this talk show vibe that we're giving tonight.
I think that it's important to recognize some of the amazing stuff that we already have. You know, circling back around to the Capitol campaign, people's heartstrings aren't pulled by Bayview. They're pulled by buildings like the Inn, you know, beautiful fireplace up here in Gullen. They're pulled by Hepburn. They're pulled by Sunnyside. And we hear that. We respect that. Those are projects that also mean a lot to us. Bayview is the best bang for your buck, so to speak, that'll help us keep ourselves on a good financial track so that we can get to those projects. We've even been working with some contractors that have alluded to there's ways to put together buildings for historic tax credits that'll earn way more money than if you were coming at it for one building at a time. And we're trying to explore the right way to do that to get Silver Bay back into its optimal state.
I had another thing for Fred. Very popular, Fred. One person was just asking if you could elaborate a little. I know that we are going to work with the YMCA Alliance and they have some involvement in the search. So were you able to elaborate on that just a little bit and what that looks like?
I frankly don't have a lot of information. We have worked with the YMCA in the past. They do work within their network of individuals involved in the YMCA, and as a result, they communicate openings through the YMCA to their network. And I believe they also have some other resources to help support executive searches as well.
Thank you, Fred. That so far is all of the questions for Fred. So Luke, if you want to continue.
Sure. So the last piece I'm going to say, just to share a little bit more about myself. You know, I came to Silver Bay 2.5 years ago. I've met a lot of you, but there's also a lot of you that I haven't. When I got here, I didn't really get it. I didn't understand how people were so in love with the place off the cuff. I thought it was a really cool place, but there is a certain spirit to Silver Bay that I didn't understand. And then I started participating in things here. My son attended Silver Camp and was a wee woozle last year and a woozle this year. My family came and stayed here. I walked down to the Irk and did some stargazing. I sat down on some point in an Adirondack chair and just let the waves roll in and my troubles roll out. And I thought, wow, this is it. This is what we need to figure out the right way to communicate. This is what my goal is as interim. So I'm not here to rock the boat or change the course. I'm here to do what I can to support the systems we've already put in place and also see what we can do to expand the awareness of some of these amazing pieces that we have here. I mean, I'm really wowed by it, and I'm really wowed by the greater Silver Bay community. Again, it took me a little bit to get there, so whatever I can do to try and help make that a quicker transition, I think will benefit us all. That's all I have. If we want to move to some questions.
Sure. We just had a question come in that somebody was a little late, so they just had a question around some of the construction. Are there any considerations for sustainability, solar, et cetera, during these building processes?
So good question. They are considerations. While we're doing Fisher specifically, we have to stay within the historic style, which does not include solar panels. But we are talking about trying to make them more efficient and put ourselves on track for a better long-term sustainability.
I'm sorry. One individual in the comments, and I know we can't get into specifics, just was wondering if there was an update on Peter and how he's doing.
Yeah, I mean, Peter's doing a little bit better right now. You know, it's been some highs and some lows. He's been working really hard to, you know, keep things moving in the right direction. Him and Jean are preparing for a move out to Wisconsin, which will happen at some point in the next couple of weeks. Very excited for him to be able to move on to this next chapter and to hopefully find some peace and relaxation.
A couple more coming in. So what is the long-term view for Sunnyside?
So Sunnyside, as it has been discussed up till now, has been a great historic building that is relevant when we talk about historic tax credits. And we'd love to get it renovated along a similar timeline as Hepburn and potentially even the Inn. You know, from the way it's been described to us, there's a way to sort of package buildings together as a larger project, and it's easier to get more funding as such. Sunnyside's a building that has been mentioned multiple times as beloved to a lot of people, and we think it important that we try to keep that pretty firmly on our radar. And again, just to say it in case anyone missed it the first time, those historic buildings are the next project and capital campaign after Bayview, assuming things stay on the current trajectory.
Wonderful. We had another question come in that said, when the Slim Point Pavilion is being worked on, will the flooring in there be improved as well?
Yes, it will. We are still finalizing some of the details for that with the contractor. That's part of the reason that we're not officially signed, because we're going through it. But yes, the flooring will be cleaned up. The pillars will be fixed if there's areas that need repair. The roof will be redone. It's going to be an immense upgrade to the entire space.
So I'm going to give it another minute, just if anyone has any questions. One person did let us know of another spot we can look at that was completely renovated. It's a church in Texas with HUD grants. So I took note of that place for us to look at. But if anyone else has any questions.
While we have this momentary pause, I'll address a question that came in earlier that I wanted to be able to circle around to. So we had a question about the access for if we're handicapped access for swimming. And I mentioned the beach hours were going to be looking good. And in some ways that does help address Bay Beach, which has the handicap ramp that goes down into it. But it doesn't address everything when it comes down to our waterfront program. Something else that we currently have funded by donors and think is a priority is a ramp that'll get you down to the lower boathouse region. This is huge because it's going to open up a world for people that don't have the ability to get down those stairs. Again, it is not officially contracted, but it is looking very good, and we're speaking to the contractors about it. Any luck, I will have this rolling along before we open up, properly for first summer week.
Couple more questions coming in. How many kids are currently in the Thai childcare?
Good question. I believe the answer is 27.
Love that. Can you discuss what groups are coming to Silver Bay this winter?
I would love to. Lindsay?
I thought that might be a bounce back. Yeah, currently we have 10 groups coming, I believe, in January. I'd have to triple check that number. It's a combination of homeschool groups. The chamber music group will be back who performs each year when they're here. So it's a group of youth. And then we have a lot of church retreats coming as well. February, we have a couples retreat coming in. We are looking to fill some more February business. It's always been a really hard time for us because it gets so cold towards the end of, January, February. But then it bounces right back up again in March with a lot of, again, spiritual groups and youth retreats. And then it is full force as we move into April, May. And currently, November, I have groups fighting over weekends that I don't have. So we are looking really busy this year and really excited. But if you know anyone who's looking for a retreat, send them my way. Couple more questions are coming in. Any update or plans for Hillcrest? My family enjoys staying there.
Currently, Hillcrest does not have any active plans. We do appreciate the building and its size and capacity, and it is identified as something that needs an update. But unfortunately, we have a fair number of buildings that meet that criteria.
Just had to unmute. Is there any consideration on an architect slash construction management firm to use for these historic renovations?
Yes. So that is how we are planning on handling it at this point in time. Again, we need to get through the Bayview project first, which is a significant hurdle, just to get it funded and then scheduled and move forward. While we are working with contractors through both Fisher as well as through Bayview, we are vetting them on their prior experience working with historic tax credits and grants and some of these various funds that can become available. That's how we became knowledgeable about the idea of sort of packaging multiple historic buildings together being better compared to just taking one shot at a time. I'm optimistic that with the amount of work that Silver Bay needs, we probably are rather attractive to find some proper professional contractors and architects that can help us be led in the right direction.
Thank you. Quite a few more came in. The first, will Maple or Woodside be able to be booked this summer?
So good question. We are renovating Woodside currently. I've got maintenance guys out there, probably not at this point in the evening, but doing what they can to put themselves in or get the building in shape for the summer. We've got a couple different considerations for it. It will either be rented as part of our regular cottage group, or we have a couple of semi-longer term rental options available that we are exploring. Maple is a separate question that I can't specifically answer at this point in time. Speaking candidly, I have requested to the board to be able to occupy it for 3 months of summer. I would like to be able to be more present in the middle of summer to attend programming and some of the various activities on site that span all sorts of hours. And beyond that, I also think that I would benefit, to keep my sanity to some level by my family being able to join me. but that is still subject to the board's approval.
Sorry, I try to mute myself when you're talking and then I start talking when it's not muted or well, it's still muted. Will you consider adding younger kids to Silver Camp?
So we already have a younger program that is limited. I believe it's 3 to 4 year olds. Chet can start yelling at me if I'm incorrect here. And it's a half-day program. We are interested in trying to see what we can do to continue to expand our options because we would love to be able to accommodate more and more people. When you get to younger than 3 years old, it does change the factor a little bit because you typically get into diapers and other limited mobility options, as well as a different ratio for how many kids you can have with each counselor or teacher, depending on your phrasing. It is part of what we're looking at, but it is not something that I believe we're prepared to expand going into the 2026 season.
All right. They're coming in. So, has Silver Bay committed to producing the EMP/ community play for the 2026 summer?
Yes, we have committed to doing the M/community play for the 2026 summer. There's still a lot of information that needs to shake out with that. We're currently doing our budget season, but it is a budget line item. I was talking with Chad about it the other day. It was very clear to us after this last summer how important that is. And while I realize that it hasn't been as successful as it was this last summer in recent years, the fact that it could be as successful as we saw is important to note. And I thought it was really amazing. I attended myself and brought my 6-year-old son, and we had a blast.
It was wonderful. Another question, are there any plans for a swimming area at the IRC for staff, perhaps where the former boat launch was?
So currently there are not any further plans for a swimming area for staff only. I think this is a fair question to sort of lead into a separate part. I'm not currently planning on walking back any of the policies made by Peter or the previous leadership. I am trying to make some modifications where I think are appropriate and things that I discussed with Peter. Something I was expecting somebody to cue me into in a different way, but I will toss out there. We are looking at trying to bring back badges for program. It's a conversation that Peter and I were already having over the summer because when we made that modification, we didn't realize the ways that it would have a negative impact. And as a result, it didn't end up satisfying the entire reason that we went to do it. This summer, I did some wristband checks with Chet, and even those, while the spirit of them was to make sure we were protecting program membership, we were being more intrusive than we were supporting. So we're tweaking that. We're looking at sign-in. We're looking at membership having badges again. Guests will still be given wristbands, but if they'd like to request name tags, they can get them at the front desk, and we'll happily provide those. And really try to get back to some of the things that people missed. But back to the original question, no, at this time there is not a plan for an additional swim area for Silver Bay.
Perfect. Luke, you are very popular tonight. They keep coming. So, how is winter weekend looking in February?
Hopefully really snowy. Uh, each year varies. It really does become very weather dependent. I've only been here for a couple of Februarys at this point, and the one that was really good weather was busy, and the one that was not was quiet. Nobody really wants to come up to a place that's cold and brown. We are looking at some of the various programming areas to try and make ourselves more available, as well as expanding some to the local community. You'd be able to correct me on this one, but I want to say it was the middle of November we did a wreath making, and we ended up with something like 80 members of the local community that showed up for it. That's huge. That's showing people are interested in some of the activities we're doing if we're able to get that word out there. We're hoping to build upon that, not only with the upcoming winter weekend, but going into next year's winter season.
Yes. And we also, just so everyone knows, we tend to see for our winter bookings, we tend to see them book closer to the date of the event, specifically for understanding what the weather is like. Okay, more questions. What is the anticipated time frame for the Fisher renovations?
It's a good question. I'm trying to met that out currently. I'd like to be able to have some information to roll on that in the next couple of weeks. Mostly it's working through the couple of contractors that have given us quotes and not only knowing their timeline, but making sure that they understand the entire scope of the project. Last thing we want is to have something left in an unfinished state.
Perfect. Let me get to your next question. Next, I understand the website was recently updated. Is there anything you wish to say, anything particular we should check out?
I think that's a great question, and I probably should have had that on my updates. So I'll say a piece and then I'll let Lindsay say a piece because it was her team that did the heavy lift on this. I'm really excited about the new layout for the website. I think that it's much easier to navigate. We have so many different options and things that interest people, whether you're talking about a spiritual life program, or you're talking about a conference, or you're talking about a family reunion, or a Mountain View Grill, or early learning center, or oh my goodness, we have so many different areas. So to find a way to convey an easy to navigate menu for that, I mean, kudos to her and the website developers because I am very happy with the way it's laid out. We obviously still have some tweaks. We're still working on updating some of the photos and putting ourselves in a spot so that it really shows off this property in a way that we know that it can. But overall, I'm very excited. Lindsay, do you want to add on that?
Yeah, I just really want to I want to lay out a little bit. We worked with a professional company and they went through our old website. We went through a lot of websites that we loved. We reached out to some people asking for feedback on pieces. And we are really proud of it. I really want to thank Talia, who I know is on this call tonight on our marketing team. Not only did she help with the last website, but she's also was fully involved in this as well. The website is going to have more photos, more videos. We're working as a team to figure out what still needs to be, what videos we need to capture this summer or this winter to really make it the best experience we can. But even our online booking page now is very different. It looks just like the website. It doesn't feel like you're leaving, doesn't constantly feel like you're leaving to go to multiple websites. It's all very cohesive now. So please, if you have any questions, let us know. You can email myself or Talia. Happy to answer them if you're looking for anything specific. A few people on this call have, and it's been really great conversation. So thank you. Lots more. So, is Silver Bay planning to host the Mountain Music Festival again in September?
Good question. Yes, we are planning on hosting it again. We enjoyed putting on the event this year, and we have identified some opportunities to make it even better.
I love it. Uh, can a ooh, can a list of conferences be published for members? It's very helpful for first-time conversations around campus.
I don't actually have that answer. Lindsay?
It's not necessarily a no, but some groups do appreciate their privacy, which is why we don't always put their names on TV screens and things. Um, I'm happy to share that this summer there are going to be some familiar faces, like the Lutheran Summer Gathering and New York Yearly Meeting will be back. It'll be hard not to recognize that week because they will be 300 plus people. So you will definitely know that they are there. Yeah, I don't want to say we can fully publish every group that's coming, but I'm more than happy to answer specific questions, maybe on a one-on-one basis, but just out of some of their privacy. I know not every group does their names on the badges when we had them, so it's kind of my answer for that.
Yeah, and honestly, I felt like that was probably the right answer, but I didn't just plow ahead with my assumption. Obviously, we try to respect everybody's space that's coming to be here, but also love the spirituality of people finding this place feeling like home, being able to say hello to people that they've seen year after year. So I appreciate the question.
Yes. Okay. For the Bayview campaign, have you considered offering naming rights for individual rooms or the lounge?
So Currently, we have started conversations around this. This is something that we can talk about as a task force as it's formed. I would say that if I was looking for the right way to rename it, I would probably be looking for the building rather than going into individual rooms or the lounge. Currently, the lounge is named the McFeely Lounge, and I'm not terribly pushy on the idea of trying to change that. But if somebody was interested in coming in a very large way that would help us get this project moving, I wouldn't say it's off the table for renaming.
Next question is, with the increase in shoulder season business, are you looking to hire additional staff?
Yeah, it's part of how we are trying to modify our budget every year. We're seeing the summer is, busy, but the real increases that we're realizing are in the shoulder season. So it includes us having more people in the fall specifically. Sometimes that's filled with people that came here for the summer and that have decided that they're interested in staying longer. Sometimes that's filled by us specifically hiring for a party that we know can work closer to 8 months compared to just the typical 3 months around summer.
All right. Would you consider expanding the Weekly Breeze to include more descriptive language about activities, speakers, and events?
So, fair question. I find that this is an area that can be a little complicated. If we add a bunch of descriptors to all of the information that's down on there, then it's going to change the size of that file drastically. But, and again, Lindsay, correct me if I'm wrong here, you should be able to find some additional details provided in our online libraries.
Yes, and so with the new calendar on the website, it's going to be a little bit more organized looking, and with more information, photos. So we are planning to be, when we have the information, we're planning on making sure it's in that section. And then on the Weekly Breeze, there should always be a link and a QR code to take you to that calendar, where also you'll find the most up-to-date information. Because if anything is changed after that Breeze is printed, it would be on the events calendar or the live Breeze that we rebranded it. So definitely, if you look there, there will be more information around the programs, locations, descriptions. Okay. Next question.
I love this. You guys are putting me on the spot. I'm all right.
Would you consider holding a weekly coffee clatch in the summer?
A weekly coffee, I'm sorry.
Clatch? I'm guessing it's a coffee get together.
I mean, I love coffee, so that's an
He
easy,
does.
I'm interested. I'd have to find out the logistics for it. If it's just a couple individuals, that's a really easy one for us to accommodate. If it's more than that, we'd have to find an appropriate setting. But yeah, love coffee, love chatting. Happy to make myself as available as I can while still maintaining the ability to do my role. Part of this for me is trying to build up the relationship and trust that I need you guys to have if I'm going to be able to operate as the interim, and if I can help put people's worries or concerns to ease, absolutely. If I can make them feel even better than that, awesome.
Okay. Will Ultra Camp still be used? It was difficult to navigate and understand last year.
So it is currently our intention to use Ultra Camp still. We frankly were behind the ball with Ultra Camp. It should have been set up and laid out sooner so that when we had these obnoxious areas that popped up and things that were difficult to use, that it didn't hit you guys, that it hit us when we were in our own testing phase. Chet worked very hard this summer to get that cleaned up, and I feel optimistic that it's in a much more user-friendly format. If it's not, we will continue tweaking it to make it user-friendly. But of course, if there is any needs that you have that are not able to be met through your use of UltraCamp, then please feel free to head to our front desk, and our team will do our best to accommodate you. We've been increasing some of their UltraCamp training to make sure that they don't have to call Chet if there's an unknown problem, that they can navigate to make sure that our guests and members feel taken care of.
Wonderful. Want to stop for a second saying you're doing a great job, Luke. You're getting questions from all over the board. Another one is, in addition to some of the comments about the breeze, it would be nice to have announcements. This is more of a statement, announcements about activities during the meal times brought back as it was regular back in the 60s.
That's
So,
a kind of fun idea. Um, I think we can explore that. I'm not going to make any promises, but I'm open to some conversations. And if whoever will put that idea out there wants to send me an email directly, we can chat.
so another one is, will international EMPs come this summer? In past years, I really appreciated their presence. I hope that's still possible considering some of the current situations.
Good question. We are anticipating international lumps to be rejoining us. Frankly, if they, for some reason, are not able to rejoin us, we're going to have to take a very hard look at our summer because they are a core part of our team.
Yes, waiting to see if anyone else has another question. Please feel free to submit it. We'll take a quick pause. Luke, get a drink of water.
Thanks.
This is live TV. All right. I have taken some notes, some really great conversations in here just regarding some website things, the reference to another building through HUD grants. So I will just give it another 30. Oh, yep. Oh. Will there be food at the store this year?
Another good question. So, yes, it was our intention to have it this last year, but due to some equipment issues and some unexpected complications, we weren't able to execute it. It is our full intention to offer food out of the store and to make sure that we're offering some nice options, especially as that is the main way people eat outside of the normal meal periods. I think it is a nice opportunity for us as well. I enjoyed this.
Okay, there's more. Ah. Oh, someone just said, thank you. Thanks, Luke and Fred. Good stuff. More good stuff to come. Another person said, thank you to Luke for stepping in and taking on this role. We appreciate you. Um, they're coming in. Okay. I brought a couple of woozles to the meeting. They're feeling very optimistic. Will the lounge and the gym have food this summer?
So, good question. Right now, Tony is working on that along with our VP of Guest Experience, Steve, and the food service team to figure out what the right options are. There is not a kitchen down there, and as a result, it'll limit some of the offerings. But we are trying to explore it as a bit of an evening lounge as well as a bit of an afternoon cafe. What those options are exactly, we need to find the right way to navigate because food health is our priority, and making sure that we're doing a high quality is essential for it being a success.
What about Bites at the Bay?
Bites at the Bay should be going on for 2026. Um, that was originally slated to come out of the store, which then got derailed by the equipment that I felt like was a perpetual delay of, oh, next week. And the equipment issues just compounded. That is not in any way negative on the team. They worked really hard to try and do what they could, but sometimes equipment and this historic property can have a pretty big impact. I would like to see it go on next year. People were very happy about it. Not only was it good food, but it also was people coming to Silver Bay that might have voted past many times that had never stopped. And now they're asking questions and planning their future family vacations.
Sorry, just responding to some folks. Can I also get Bites at the Bay delivered to my cottage in Van Buren Bay?
What an excellent question. That is also part of what we're trying to set up. I'm not going to promise that at this point in time because part of that includes the logistics of having a dedicated golf cart that's able to do it or finding the right staff person that's able to make the trip down there. But I can assure you that it is in our crosshairs for a needed amenity that this property should be able to execute.
I volunteer. Uh, will I want to be like Chip? Will dance classes be offered this summer? It was so much fun when I participated some years ago.
Great question. Chet, you still on?
I believe he's on the call. Jeff.
I'm here. Uh, at this current time, I don't have any potential instructor for that type of class. If folks are aware of someone who would be an appropriate candidate, it's something we can certainly look at as a part of our overall health and wellness offerings. Um, Happy to look into it and see what we can do.
Awesome.
Wonderful. And the last question that I have for right now is um, the store used to serve great breakfast sandwiches and muffins. Will they be coming back?
So we're still looking at what the exact location of that execution would be, but I assure you that the additional breakfast options need to be there. I myself like to swing over for the occasional breakfast burrito. So we need to figure out whether that's going to be put on through the store or through another area for the property. But I think that is a big opportunity for us.
And then we just have a lot of people thanking you, but also thanking the team and Fred just for keeping everyone updated this evening, telling us to stay warm and safe up here with some of our snow. We technically have 6 minutes left, so if anyone does have a question, we'll give you another minute here. I know it's been fast and furious in the chat. I've been keeping notes. So just give it one quick second. But while we wait, I just want to thank everybody. We had 100 people join tonight on Zoom. So thank you to everyone who joined us and is so excited to learn about what we're doing and what we did this year and how we did. We're excited to continue this with all of your support and thank you for being here. Uh, sorry, one second. One person, I'm just gonna go back. Uh, it's a fast and furious chat, but it's more conversation. So one second. One second, just waiting for a response. Cool. Yes, so one individual told us to remind people in the area there will be a Christmas Eve service in the chapel. We are definitely doing that. We will have social posts and content going out as well. So that will definitely be a thing. I believe we also took out an ad in the Sun Community News letting folks know that that will be happening. So that will be available. It will not be this year at this time. Chris and I are still discussing, but it may not be live streamed this year. Um, we are trying to allow some of our staff who've normally worked to be able to spend time with their families as well because it is Christmas Eve. So, it is a holiday at Silver. It is a paid holiday at Silver Bay. We're trying to respect that for some of our team as well. And then I think for right now, that is it. Luke, I know you're gonna follow up with some folks from this chat. I have some information for you that you can follow up on. Other than that, I just want to thank everyone. And Luke, if you want to close us out.
I do. I want to thank everyone for their support that they're showing me, whether it's in this town hall, the board, or just the general community. This is a role that I'm very honored to be able to step into and to do what I can to help maintain the course. I think it important though that while everyone's thanking myself and the board and the team, that we also put a thank you to Peter and Jean Dolver out there. A lot of where we are right now is only possible due to the hard work and challenges that they faced in the last, 4 years. I truly appreciate my time working under Peter and the conversations I was able to have with Gene. And I also truly believe that our trajectory is all the better for it. I don't want to go too far for this particular setting, but I would encourage this group of people that care so deeply about Silver Bay to reach out to Peter, to give him well wishes as he closes the pages on this chapter to open the next for himself. And if you need his or Jean's direct personal emails, please reach out to me directly and I will hand that information. You know, they would love to hear from you. I know it would mean a lot. Silver Bay can be a roller coaster, but I know it is such a truly impressive place. And again, all the better for them having come through. So, thank you. I appreciate you attending my ramblings. And I'll be seeing you around. I'm sure there's plenty that I missed. Again, don't be afraid to send a follow-up email or get a clarification. Thanks.
Merry
Wonderful. Have a
Christmas,
good
everyone.
night.
Merry Christmas.
Thank you.
Thank you guys.